We're making a delicious gluten-free sandwich bun that requires no yeast, rising, or kneading. It's made high in protein with cottage cheese, oat and almond flour, and egg, and then it's topped with Everything Bagel Seasoning. You get the taste and structure of yeast bread in this incredibly easy alternative. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthy recipes made with all natural ingredients, then you are in the right place. Now this may seem a little unusual, but we're going to start with cottage cheese. Not only does it add more protein, but it also gives it a very delicious flavor. Now if you're not crazy about the curdle texture, don't worry, because we're going to blend it smooth. Now you can use any blender, food processor, or I'm going to use the chopper cup that comes with my immersion blender. But you can also use the stick blender attachment if you have that. So I'm just going to add 1 cup of cottage cheese to my chopper cup, and you're welcome to jot down these ingredients as we go along, or you can go to the link that's in the video description below, and that will take you to the full recipe with all the notes on my website. And then I'll simply put on the lid and blend it till smooth. Well, that looks perfect, and it's been blended smooth, and we no longer have any of those large curds. Next, we want to mix in 1 egg with the cottage cheese. Since I already have this chopper cup, I'll go ahead and just mix it right inside. And then I'll just stir these together with my spatula. And I'm not using the blade because I don't want it to be over whipped. And then we can set this aside while we prep our dry ingredients. We're going to start with oat flour, and you could use pre-bought flour or you can grind your own in a matter of seconds. All you need is an upright blender, food processor, or a blender cup. And you could use the old-fashioned oats, which are the larger size, or you could use the quick oats. Now we only need 1 1/3 cups for our recipe, but I find it works best if I fill my cup to the max fill line. Then I'll screw on my lid and place it in the base. And having that cup almost full provides the weight that it needs to keep pushing the oats down so they grind up really fine. And then I'll turn on the power, let it run on high for about 15 seconds or until it becomes a flour. Doesn't get any easier. Now we have this very tasty and fine flour. And then in our mixing bowl, we're going to add 1 1/3 cups of oat flour. And then to add even more flavor and nutrition, we're going to add 1/2 cup of almond flour and 1/4 cup of parmesan cheese and 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder. And you'll want to make sure it's fresh, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now I found that cottage cheese has a more naturally salty flavor, which is why I'm going a little easy on the salt, but you could certainly add more if you like. And I'll just mix these together until they're well combined. Then we simply pour in our cottage cheese mixture. Now you could use a hand mixer to mix this together, but I have found that a spatula works really well. So I'm just going to turn my bowl and then mash it together with my spatula. And having a rubber spatula makes it really easy to scrape off the sides of the bowl. You'll want to keep mixing and folding it over until you no longer have flour on the bottom of your bowl. And then you'll end up with a very sticky and fluffy dough. And you'll know it's just right when it barely sticks to your fingers when you pick it up. Now this will make 4 large buns, or you could make 6 medium to smaller size buns. Now to bake the buns, I've just lined a cookie sheet with some parchment paper. Now you'll want to be sure to not confuse it with wax paper, but you could also just spray your pan with some nonstick. Now to keep the dough from sticking to our hands, I find it works really well to just pour a little bit of oil and then rub my hands together and then scoop out a chunk of dough, and then I'm just going to roll it together until it's nice and smooth. And I'll go ahead and just place it on my pan. Now these aren't going to spread very much, so you can go ahead and shape it to the size that you want before it bakes. And then you want to smooth it down till it's about 3/4 of an inch thick. And then you can decide if you want it to be circular or more of a square shape. So I'm going to start by kind of forming this out to a square. Place it on my pan. I'll kind of push those corners out a little bit more. Well, now you can see we have a variety of shapes, which makes this dough really fun and versatile. Now you'll want to go through and just kind of push down the edges so they are slightly lower than the center of your bun. Now to give them a really beautiful golden crust, just like a traditional roll, we want to spread on a little bit of egg white. So I've just separated 1 egg, and then I'm just going to paint on some egg white, which we also would call just an egg wash. And I'm going to spread that all around the top and the sides. Now we can sprinkle our seasonings on top, and you can choose your favorites. I really like using a bagel seasoning just to make it taste like a traditional bun. But you could also use some seeds or some nuts or a sprinkle of some of those old-fashioned or quick oats. So I can go ahead and just lightly sprinkle my bagel seasoning on top. And this has a mix of onion flakes and garlic flakes, which is really delicious, and a few little poppy seeds. Well, these look fantastic, and they're ready to go into a 375-degree oven for anywhere between about 20 and 25 minutes. And you'll want to keep an eye on them and pull them out as soon as you get a really nice golden color all across the top. Well, here are our buns out of the oven, and they look gorgeous. You can see how they have this really beautiful golden color on top, and they did rise just slightly in the center. Now you will want to let them cool completely before you slice them. You can easily take your serrated knife and then just slice it right down the middle. And then you have this beautiful sandwich bread. Now, because these didn't have any yeast or gluten, they're not going to be quite as spongy inside as a traditional bun, but they're going to have a delicious flavor and texture, kind of more like a flatbread. And they're ready to be loaded up with your favorite sandwich toppings. But one of my favorite ways to enjoy it when I'm not patient enough to make a sandwich is just with some whipped cream cheese on top. That is delicious. And I would have never guessed that this was not a traditional bun. It seriously tastes like it came out of a fancy bakery with all those delicious flavors coming in from the parmesan cheese and the cottage cheese, and then getting the oat and the almond flour, and then the bagel seasoning on top is so delicious. And I love that they're made with clean, natural ingredients, which means I'm gonna feel just as good even after I enjoy them. Well, thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen today. I've included a link in the video description below to the full recipe, and it's on my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone else who would love a gluten-free alternative to a bread bun, please share this video with them. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.